we wanted to send a very clear signal to the industry that we wanted to do something different. That it wasn't just about feedback. Although, I mean, I think feedback is incredibly important. So in a way, saying just feedback is wrong. But I think turning that into really meaningful insight that can help you not only run a better business but make more money, essentially, which is obviously super important, especially right now. So I think that it has enabled us to have a different conversation with prospective customers and customers.
Welcome to Captive Conversations, brought to you by Captive Wi-Fi. I'm your host, Adam Foreman. This podcast brings you the best stories from suppliers, marketers, and operators from our beloved hospitality sector. Now, let's get on with the show. Hello, everyone. Episode 68. And I have Olivia Fitzgerald from 125. Can I just call it 125?
Sure. Yeah.
It's just easy.
I do.
125. Yeah, because the other bit is just the other bits that it does. So welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm really excited to listen more about your story and history, and also to learn more about what you're doing, because some of the new stuff you're doing is very exciting, including the AI thing, which I tested a little while ago when I was on holiday, which was really fun.
Oh, good.
So, but I won't talk about that now, but thank you for coming. I'm going to dive straight in, and I apologise about the advance notice of the questions, because it literally was a couple of hours ago.
Well, this is testing my ability to think on my feet.
Yeah,
so
it was a great question.
Why not?
She was like, it's a pretty loaded question, and I was like, I'm glad it was you, to be fair, because it was a good question to ask. So we had Vic Searle on earlier today, and she said, given that I can't even, my wording was terrible. Given that we're in an industry that has no problem talking about our brand, showing the world what we do and how we do it, why are we reluctant to put customers first?
Very good question. Thank you, Vic. I think that partly it's because, as far as customer experience, the voice of the customer sort of being heard in the boardroom.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is that it can sit with different teams in the hospitality business. So sometimes it sits with marketing, sometimes there's a customer experience sort of specialist, sometimes it's part of ops, but it tends to become a bit fragmented. So the clarity of what's going well or badly and what actions need to be taken as a result seem to often just not come across as loud and clear as they should.
Yeah.
And then I think also that sometimes there's just there are some things that we just don't really want to hear as a business. You know, I think sometimes you hear people talking about their NPS scores being incredibly high, and you just think, how can that really be true? Because so I think there's a bit of a being brave enough as a business to face up to the things that aren't going so well, and being honest, really honest about that, and structurally putting things in place that mean that you're really assessing what's going on, rather than just vanity sort of metrics.
She was mentioning stuff like, you know, what's our sort of like return frequency? Oh, it's 5. It's 5. Oh, great. So the stats on that. No. It's 5. It's 5. 5 is the standard. Just like, and she was saying it isn't. But let's just keep quiet. You know, when she was working at brands and stuff. So, you know, or even having that challenge of going in and then you've seen it as well, the silo of ops and marketing there rather than together.
Definitely.
So I think one of the things that is we talked probably on length about is the challenge of that, making that customer first, that customer journey, but in that boardroom, you know, not just taking it on that marketing director's, I know how to do it because it worked 10 years ago. Yeah. Moreover, that's the journey.
Yeah.
So it's so difficult. You know, I mean, we speak to people. You speak to people all the time. It's so difficult to land that. And as you said, and even the NPS stuff as well. Like, you know, it's, you know, we're 5 stars all the way through. Yeah. And then really, you know, anyway. But we can go.
I think it's definitely. I don't know, when I worked in hospitality, I know there were lots of things that people regarded as true floating around in the business that were actually, that someone once said like 2 years ago, but it became truth
Set.
in the business, and it's like, and I just think that, and I remember repeating things like that and then being asked where it came from, and I was like, I actually have no idea where that came from, but we regard it as true. So
yeah, it's mental. I think she's on a mission, so I'm really excited to share that podcast, because there's lots of stuff that she's doing, which is exciting. Anyway,
cool.
Second question, and thank you for the first question. What is the book you have read more than 3 times? What was the book and why? She said that if you read it more than once, it's going to be impactful.
Yes, yeah. So I read a book recently several times called Never Split the Difference, which is a book about negotiation written by an FBI hostage negotiator.
I love that.
So the premise of the book is negotiating as if your life depended on it, or a hostage's life depends on it, and it's very. I just think negotiation is all about human nature, isn't it? And how people. I think it's quite surprising what people do in a negotiation situation sometimes, and I actually think, although I've spent most of my career in sales, I'm not naturally a brilliant negotiator, because I'm probably, I don't know, a bit too polite and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So actually, I think reading something like that, it was a complete eye opener. I would recommend it to
I will definitely have a look at it.
anybody.
I'm yes, also too nice, but I work with my wife, so she does the operational side. So if I'm working at home and she's sitting opposite me, which is on a Friday, I'm on the phone to a client, and she's done loads in the past. She'll hold a mug up above the screen and start pointing at the mug like that, and that's my key indicator of I've said a bit too much, or I've gone a bit too like, I'll do whatever you want.
Yes.
So I've learned over the years to not be that. I know it's not a mug, but she always says, don't give away your gold.
Yes,
because you want to give. You want to give the best service possible.
Yeah.
And be the best. But so I've learned. It's taken a while, but I've learned to not just go.
It's really difficult, isn't it, when you are motivated by, you just kind of want to do good things, and I think that enthusiasm will get you a long way. But there is a point where you sort of think, I haven't really valued that myself as I should have done.
And that book probably is going to have some interesting things.
So
in it,
read that book.
I will definitely check it out.
By
Thank you.
Chris Voss.
Chris Voss. I'll definitely check it out. Okay, standard questions. Best hospitality experience.
I think it would have to, and this is a real name-droppy one, but thanks to my time at working at Majestic, we got to visit some amazing wine producers, and my best trip ever was going to the Cheval Blanc vineyard in Bordeaux, and tasting some incredible wines and having an amazing lunch there. But it was just the most phenomenal hospitality experience, and them talking about how they put those wines together that they served us was the sort of labour of love of kind of everything from just the precise way that they pruned the particular vines in particular plots, and how different vines were in different plots, and it was just such an incredible labour of love for them. And
no one thinks about it. You don't see it, right? We don't see it. We don't see it.
And I think that's kind of true. And actually, I think that's true of so many hospitality businesses, that you could probably do things that would earn you more money and be more straightforward in lots of ways. But I think most of us do it a bit because it's a labour of love, because we've just sort of fallen in love with the hospitality industry for some reason. But that was the pinnacle for me of just this incredible. I mean, it's very expensive wine. But I think the dedication to this incredible kind of product was
Well, now Majestic, because I was at, I think, Hostech, and you had one of the guys from Majestic talking about the acquisition.
Yes,
and now they have physical located to do stuff, do more stuff. So that's going to be really. It was so interesting listening to what he was talking about and the potential expansion of actually having somewhere to put there. It seemed like a no-brainer.
I think it's fantastic. It's brilliant. I think it makes so much sense, the acquisition of Vagabond, because it's they've always been aware, I think, that it's a very experiential business. Like a visit to a store is highly experiential, and you've really, give someone a reason not to just buy their wine in the supermarket, basically. So I think thinking about the expanded version of what that could be is really smart. And they're definitely, I think they're on a really interesting path.
Yeah, it's so interesting what they're doing. I mean, I will agree with you that the difference of going into a normal off license compared to walking into a Majestic is just next level.
Yeah.
They know the information that they give you.
Yeah.
I walked in once just asking for a rosé for my wife, and I ended up speaking to for 20 minutes about it, and they were asking me more questions, and
you can
to get the right.
Definitely. That's if you working in one of those stores is the most fantastic. You can learn more about wine in over the years there, and they tend to be, they go from graduates through to absolute experts. Yeah, I mean it's almost like the wine training ground of the UK. So it's
where the sommeliers start.
Great business. Yeah.
Okay, best hospitality tech, no self noms.
Sorry. So I really like a business called Mosrest, which I think you know.
Yeah,
which
of
is,
course.
I sort of started my career in tech for hospitality in business called Live Bookings, which was,
I remember them,
like the UK equivalent of OpenTable back in the day. Then it was sort of, it's now part of it was bought by The Fork, and it's initially by Michelin. So, but I think in a way Mosrest is like this idea of bringing together all the different channels that people might book through, and also the different bits of technology that hospitality businesses use in their businesses.
Yeah.
And I think that because that's such a disparate picture, there's so many different strands.
Especially in the res and the connect, that piece on its own is just so fragmented. It's not like a Deliverect or something like that. It's
definitely, it's just so many different paths that someone might take to find and book your place. So I think making that super simple and taking all the, as a restaurateur, if you can just plug into that, then I think that's absolutely brilliant. And just the, I suppose the more AI has an impact and people are searching in all kinds of different ways, the more you might there might be all kinds of different paths to find a place.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of technology that simplifies all that is really interesting, and it should, I think it can have a pretty immediate, if a business sort of switches it on, they should just get more covers booked pretty much instantly. So I think that's, it's a great concept, and it should have immediate benefits.
To
the bottom line. So.
Yeah, Jerome's awesome. I've spoken to him a few times.
He is amazing.
Clever cookie.
Yes, so, he's the Columbo of the restaurant world.
yeah, he knows his stuff. So, and there's more and more being added into that list of stuff that he's doing. So, it's really interesting on that sort of side. I mean, if you're you're building a platform and you want to build into something, you don't necessarily need to go and wait for that 30-site customer to go find.
Yeah.
You just can go to him, and he's got the connecting piece.
Yes,
already,
exactly.
Which is nice. So, cool. All right, we're going to go back in time. So the first question actually I sort of normally ask is, did you work in hospo way before, like early doors?
Yes, I did. So my first job when I graduated, so I graduated with a degree in fine art and fully planned to be an extremely famous artist.
Of course.
That did not work.
You're similar with Ruth Carpenter, to be fair. She was a sculptor. Yeah, she did. I think she did maybe the same. She was a sculptor. So in marketing.
Yeah. So I have a degree in fine art from Goldsmiths and an MA from the Royal College in Photography.
Wow. Okay.
But none of that's been any
the creative
brought
side
to bear at all in my career. But I needed a job, and I got my first sort of full-time job in 1995 at Quaglino's, which at the time, which was absolutely amazing. It was like, one of the first, I suppose, really ambitious. It was a 300-seater restaurant.
Huge.
In the middle of, in Berry Street, middle of town. And so I think I was like incredibly lucky to land there, really.
That building is mental. It's huge.
And there weren't many restaurants like that at the time.
No.
So it was incredibly popular. I got, like, as often happens in hospitality, I got promoted quite quickly and ended up doing the book, which was brilliant. Amazing power, because you could decide where everyone was going to sit and whether or not they would get a table. So there were some pretty great tips.
This is the paper book. It
was a paper book.
Yes.
And actually that's what led me into technology, because so I would work out where to sit everyone and how much flexibility we had to cram extra people in, but that was all on pen and paper.
300 cover restaurant. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so whether you were good at doing the book or not, if you were good, you might squeeze in an extra, we'd be doing like 800 covers on a busy Saturday night, 900 even some nights, but you could get an extra like 70 covers in if you were good at it.
Yeah.
But obviously, but then we started working on some software to do that for you, essentially, to work out how much flexibility you had. And that sort of turned into Bank Solutions, which became Quadranet, so it was all.
Oh, so okay, yeah.
That was how
I
sort of
because the puzzles was Quadranet originally, right, as well, or not?
So Quadranet, I think Bagliano's was one of the first customers that had Quadranet, and but they sort of developed the reservation system sort of with them, and that sort of in the end that kind of spurned the live bookings business, as they were the first ones to sort of get into online bookings. So it was a bit of a convoluted pathway, but I suppose seeing how technology could really help. I was the one who did those hours of work thinking, okay, where am I going to sit all these people? And then having a system that could do that for me in minutes was like, oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah. And so was that how long was it until how long were you there?
So I on and off. I think I worked at Quags on and off for about 5 years, because I sort of I worked there part time when I was doing my MA, and so I was kind of worked in hospitality, I guess, for probably maybe about 6 or 7 years altogether, and then sort of made a jump into when the guys who started live bookings were kind of got the company going. There were 3 techie guys, and they didn't think they really needed a salesperson, but they sort of said, we've built this brilliant thing. We just need someone to show it to people. It didn't need to be sold because it would sell itself, of course. But somebody needed to show it to people. So I kind of jumped in and started showing it to people. Turned out you sort of did need to actually sell it. but it was a brilliant. And then we sort of got our first round of venture capital backing, and then sort of. So
was it the 3 original? You said three founders.
So there were there were sort of three sort of main techie guys, and then a guy called Jeremy Ormrod, who sort of backed the business from the start. And then it went through, and then we merged with a Swedish company called Logos.
Okay.
Don't know if anyone remembers that one, but
used to remember that one.
People like Gordon Ramsay used to use Logos. So then we sort of so it was another reservations software company. And I guess the idea was to
Did they get like amalgamated together?
Yeah, so we had a kind of a lightweight online reservation system and a more heavyweight one in Logos, and then we were adding the ability to sort of book online and then bring bookings from different partners into the.
So I remember my memory is going back. I used to do events, right? So my events used to called Club Wizard, right?
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to live bookings back then. I bought the domain Dine Wizard because I thought it was a great idea.
Okay.
It wasn't a great idea. But I remember specifically getting a friend of mine who's a developer to get the pull from live bookings, which included all the photos. So I ended up having, because we were doing events, people were clubbing and partying. I was like, you know what? Let's marry the events and a table together.
Yeah.
So I ended up basically, it didn't look very nice because back then the websites were very thin and small. But I ended up pulling once a day, all the data from new restaurants, from live bookings into ours, and you'd give us the photos, the booking links, and you could book from our site basically.
Right, brilliant.
And then it would send you to live bookings, or it would just book the table.
Yeah.
And I didn't get. There was, I think, there may have been commission. I don't remember back then. It was so long ago, but it was so clever because you enabled like 15 different or however many listing companies to take the feed from the platform. Which then basically gave you. So then the explosion of the internet and the explosion of more and more booking websites. There must have been like 30 or 40 with just all the data being pulled in from live bookings.
I mean, I think it was a bit ahead of its time in a way, and
completely.
it was when I was first selling the diary. It was still dial-up connections, and people were like, "Web-based what?"
Well, I saw you the other day at Titan. I was talking about the top table and the faxing. So when you go through top table, you'd book it in, and you were way ahead.
And it was good. It was a very exciting journey because it was very much a greenfield site.
Way beyond its time.
Like
way beyond its time.
And I think getting to, at that point, I sort of getting to make some of the big sales to, I mean, I guess brands like Pizza Express stand. I think La Tasca was the first brand that went live. That was sort of, a lot of sites at once, and then Gondola, as it was at the time, were sort of quite pioneering in the whole thing. So it was you were really trying to convince them that, well, A, that websites were really important, and B, that it's going to
happen. It's going to happen.
But I remember like mainly having lots of in-sales conversations. It was sort of like the main pushback was, I want to talk to my customers, so I don't want them to book online.
Yeah.
And just that sort of whole thing of, well, if your customers want to book online, you should let them.
Yeah.
And if they want to talk to you, then
yeah.
you should also speak to them.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. It's so interesting. Sorry, I've got millions of buzzing coming in, and I don't want to be. It's in cinema mode. Sorry. No, you're right. 100%. I mean, to this day, it's there's still people calling restaurants and people not being able to answer the phone.
Yeah. We did a study once about what percentage of calls to restaurants got answered, and it was quite scarily low. So.
Yeah.
But I still think that now, that this false dichotomy in a way between tech and people that's responsible for a lot of misconceptions, really, I think. 'Cause it's like it's not an either or. It's it's just about giving brilliant service in both ways, I think, and giving people choices if they want choices. And I think consumers now do want choices. So.
100%. There's a guy I work with who does lots of AV audio for the restaurants and stuff, and he's old school. So he's like, I don't want someone to come to me with a digital device. I want to go to a restaurant where they'll write down my order, and they'll walk away, and they'll put it into the till system. And that's what I want, and I want to be able to phone a restaurant and have a conversation. I said, you can still do that if you want to.
Yeah.
But he's in that mindset of wanting that at level.
Yes.
Which there are still some that do. But you're right. I think the choice is if they have. I was at the Bowtree Hotel, which is a part of Tao Group, down in Marylebone, and they had a QR. The service was awesome. I didn't need the QR. There was a QR if I wanted to leave and pay.
Yeah.
Not order, but just leave and pay.
Yes.
And that was on a little wooden thing. It looked really cute. And first time I've seen it in like a higher end environment.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's nice, because there's an opportunity, for that. And the waitress came over to us and said, how was the experience? How was your waiter? And she was obviously like an ATM or something. And I said, he was amazing. She goes, he's a bit shy. So, and she's Spanish. So she was like, he's a bit shy. So he's not going to ask you for a tip or anything like that. But if you think he did a great service, please. And I thought, how nice is that? That's cute. Right, nice little touch. But you're right. I think the customer choice is important.
Yeah, and I suppose if you can, like, if the technology can do some stuff for you, then maybe you're freeing up people to do more of that kind of high value interaction.
That's the wish, isn't it? That's the wish. I said to Vic earlier, it would be great if you book a table, and I know there's the chip printer, and I know that the information will be given to whoever takes you to the table, but then when your server or waiter comes over, that chip printer's gone. So unless that information is passed over, there still isn't the handheld devices that are still there. Don't give you this person is this, that person's that. You'll have like maybe some allergens, but the customer profile still isn't in the waiter's hands.
I think that must happen soon. I mean, it feels like the right. I feel like that the revolution of simplifying the data that people at site level particularly have is just like put the right couple of bits of information right in front of them at the time that matters. But
100%.
We haven't really cracked that yet, have we?
I can't believe that we haven't. Anyway, all right. So book a table. Sorry, live bookings.
Yes.
And then you were there while the journey into book a table, or
So we bought a site sort of a few years into to sort of the journey. We decided we needed to have a consumer aspect to the business. So we needed to be able to...
Well, everyone else had the marketplace except for you.
Yes, right? Exactly. So we had to deliver... We wanted to be able to actually deliver more bookings. Yeah. So we bought a site called Restaurant Guide, which was run by the Earl of Bradford at the time, which was actually brilliant. It had incredibly comprehensive restaurant listings and was one of the biggest... It had been one of the booking partners that we'd worked with before, so we sort of acquired that business and sort of turned it into Book a Table. So had to, I guess, learn lots of new consumer-orientated kind of go-to-market approaches compared to having been a B2B business really before. So that was really. I think I was incredibly.
And who was updating all that info? Was that you guys, or were you empowering the restaurants to, or was that being pulled from your system?
So it was a mixture of things. I think it was being pulled. Some of it was being pulled from our systems. We had a huge kind of.
Your database was massive.
Well, managing that content was a huge task, and we had a team sort of doing that. We did. We weren't really in the. I think it wasn't. Restaurants weren't seamlessly able to update their own information whenever they wanted to. I think they did have to sort of go through us, and that was. We had some amazing stuff around like promotional stuff that people could do as well. We built an incredibly complicated promotions engine so that restaurants could, and pubs and bars could, set up any kind of promotion they wanted to, and it was so flexible that it was incredibly complicated. But we had ideas about sort of selling things at different prices at different times of day, or when
this is again way beyond its time.
Completely great, but it didn't really. I think it was perhaps a bit too early for a lot of people. They were just that idea.
Well, some of them just moved to online bookings, I guess, and then a couple of years in, the difficulty is of. You want that. You want to be able to say Monday's dead.
Yeah.
I want to be able to offer X, Y, and Z.
I mean, who was brilliant at that time? Living Ventures were like no one. A lot of businesses just weren't really getting the hang of that stuff, but Living Ventures really did it. They really got it and did things like in Christmas, they did a massive kind of data capture, so that if you booked in Christmas, you would get access to this amazing deal in January, whereas I think it was 50% off the food or something, but it was sold as this very exclusive kind of customer benefit, and it just did. When everyone else was empty in January, they were booming, and it was
but everyone else is too late because the offer that they said they let out in January, early January, was too late.
No, they definitely turned it into this incredible event when it got released, and everybody was, they got this absolute flood of bookings. So I think they really led the way, and then they started LiveRes, which eventually Zonal bought. So
yes.
I kind of went
you're right. Sorry, I remember. Yes, I remember that actually, because it was. They built it, and then obviously it pulled in. Yeah. And I also remember we had I literally forgotten her name, and I spoke to about her earlier today. It will come to me. It will come to me. Jo from Cam. She came on the podcast, she was telling me that they were like early adopters of the LiveRes. But anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. Okay, so because there's more. Okay, so Booker Table, and then how long were you at Booker Table for? Or were you before Michelin or?
Yeah, before that acquisition. So I was there for about 9 years.
Wow.
So I went from I joined. I think I was the 4th full-time employee, and sort of worked my way up. As the company grew, which was an amazing kind of learning experience. But I sort of headed up the UK market by the time I left, and which was, I think, the biggest market. We also did the Germany, the Nordics, a bit in Spain, a bit in France.
Yeah. And had you? Because I remember back when you sort of did a little link with Resdar. There was a joint thing with Resdar. Was that when you were there, or was that before? Because that was like super powerful.
Yeah, that was really interesting. That was sort of. I guess those two bits of technology were kind of growing up together at the same time, really, and it was a tricky one to. I think. Partnerships, that was probably in the era where a lot of tech didn't talk to a lot of other tech.
No.
and everyone was just like, no way there's some overlap with what we do, so there's no way we're partnering. But so I think it was quite, but it was, I suppose as with many things, it was our customers that took us down that path and wanted to get online bookings from different sources into their Res Diary system. So so we did end up partnering with them, and it did work pretty well. I mean, it was always sort of, I guess there was that element of competition there. But I think Mike and I just probably grew up like going to the same trade shows and like looking at each other and going, what are you doing?
I've seen you around.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And then so basically you left finishing sort of like, not finishing, but running sort of the UK, I guess. Or no, more.
Yeah, no. So I was the regional director of the UK part of the business when I left, and went to join Zonal.
Yeah.
Because I guess I kind of was interested in the idea of this. I mean, on the subject of integrations, really, I think this whole having a very integrated toolkit. I think that's got to be the holy grail, and whether that's from one provider or from a patchwork of different providers, I think. The huge benefits of technology that works together are, I think everybody wants that now, don't they?
Yeah, if you can build the dream tech stack, you're winning.
Maybe you don't always get it, but I don't know. I've always thought that whilst it can be difficult to integrations with other businesses and partnerships with other businesses can be hard to get right, but the outcome for hospitality operators is better if we can, the more 100%. We can talk to each other. So
100%. I think that there's always challenges, right? And then you've got the American platforms that come over that are just all open.
Yes.
So then you've got, and they've been built that way. And then you've got other systems here that are still building, but can't. I spoke to, who was it? About 3 years ago, the guys at Vita.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to them, surely you've got an API. And they go, yeah. Do you know how expensive an API is to manage? And I was like, I have no idea, but surely you have one. He goes, yeah, it's closed, but we have one. Like, if a big enough company needs it, they can do it. And I never even thought about the possibilities of, the managing just something like that. If it's not been if it's not been built under the scaffolded around it,
it's definitely. And I think what's something that, because I think sometimes hospitality operators get frustrated that things don't just work together. But certainly my experience at Zonal gave me such a different insight into that, and I'm sure that the team there still have this challenge that there's so many businesses that want to integrate with Zonal that you just have to prioritize them and manage them in a way, because. Even just the conversations, because it's literally sort of, maybe if you're getting, 10 inquiries a week from a business that wants to integrate and they're a new player on the scene and whatever, and I'm sure they all have their merits, but it's just a bit, there's a finite amount of time and resource available
and
to it.
And the list of everything else is on there.
I guess the reality is you have to prioritise.
What was the role when you started at Zonal?
At Zonal, so they created a brand new role, which was, I think, Director of Web and Mobile at the time, and they had just acquired a platform that did sort of some booking stuff, some loyalty stuff, some CRM stuff. But it was originally a US company, and it was very much, I think it was still in its infancy as a product. So it was, but conceptually, I think that they did a great job of understanding that all of that like if you had the transactional data in EPOS, if you could then link that to marketing applications, then if you know who someone is and what they're buying from you, then you've got this incredibly powerful kind of potential to do tailored marketing and understand what your customers want and all this amazing stuff. So they were, I think, a bit ahead of the game in that, but.
I think I remember there's a pub just on Tottenham Court Road, which is a Zonal customer, and I think must be more than 7 years ago. It's probably 7 or 8 years ago. One of my staff members left, and we went to the pub, and we sat down at a table, and it's the first time I'd seen an app where you could download the app.
Yeah.
I'm very app forward. I'm always going to have a look at what's going on. We sat down at the table. The bar was absolutely stacked. I mean, it was the one on Montague Pike, maybe the one on Tottenham Court Road. Like it's packed.
Yes.
So we managed to grab a table. I've never even been in there until that day. I didn't know it existed, but it's huge.
Yeah.
We sat down, and I was like, right. I looked at the bar, and I was like, and then on my little A card was this download the app.
Yeah.
And that was the first iteration of any app I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Or ordered drinks, and they came to my table.
I know, it was brilliant.
It was unbelievable.
I think that was a really exciting. That's definitely one of my career highlights.
Was that the product?
Yeah. So that was it. So Zonal built a sort of a white label app so in the very, I guess, essentially to allow people to order.
Yeah.
An order that would go straight through into EPOS and in that particular brand that you're talking about, which is, I think, can I say it?
Yeah, of course.
in the Wetherspoons.
Yes.
And they were incredibly early adopters, and they nailed it with the operational side of things, because they did deliver drinks in 2 minutes. That was their aim, and they did it.
I've been to loads of bars, and I've been to loads of nightclubs, and I've been to loads of pubs.
Yeah.
This was just, and it was a Wetherspoon. I mean, I was like,
amazing.
I was like, how?
Yeah.
And it worked. It just worked.
Yeah. Technology that I think that's
way beyond its time.
Such a good example as well of how of a well thought through delivery of a technology project, because they, like, no one was really doing app ordering at the time, but actually it, you know, because they implemented it so well, everyone, it flew, you know, it worked really well. People started immediately, like the average basket spend went up.
Yeah.
The people upsold to themselves because it was fun. There were really hilarious there are all sorts of funny things about people ordering stuff to other tables.
Oh,
which
I
is
love
quite
that.
Funny.
I love that idea.
So
that's awesome.
Good, you know, people being. And there's a story about a guy who went there on his 18th and got and loads of his friends sent him like a glass of lemonade and like a bowl of peas, and the team must have just been like, "What is going on here?"
But I think the challenge. Listen, we all talk about challenges in tech, and if the change management isn't done right, it's just going to fall flat. And we've seen loads of other platforms and not platforms, but companies try to roll out stuff quickly.
Yeah.
Whoever deployed that within that company, really took a step back and looked at the operational side of it to how do we do this right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're right. We got the drinks in like 2 to 3 minutes. I was in awe.
Yeah. So I always think for an app, you know, I guess for any app, I mean, whatever it is, whatever the central functionality is in the app, it's got to do something. It's got to immediately do something useful for you, haven't it? And that's exactly what that one does. It's like, oh, well, this is a better experience than going to the bar and waiting for 10 minutes. So obviously I'm going to do that.
So were you in the, did they, so wait, they created that role and they already had that piece of software, or
no, so that was, so
they threw that on you and said, here you go.
So I guess my role kind of evolved. I then did a different role at Zonal, which was, so they acquired LiveRes.
Yes.
And they'd also acquired a business it was called TXD before it was acquired, and then became part of Zonal, which built the app.
Okay.
So still an amazing guy called Matt Brooks at Zonal, it was his brainchild. But it's really super clever, because it's in a way an app that you're going to order. Of course, it has to talk to EPOS to see what's in stock, to see what the prices are, to see what the promotions are, and to send the order in real time through into the system. So, and then through to the sort of dispense bar, so that you can get it out in 2 minutes. So I think that it was a brilliant example of how actually that the way the customer experience was delivered by joined up technology, and I think for Wetherspoons having the foresight to see that would work when no one else was doing it, and also the fact that Zonal had that vision that would be that would be quite a game changer. So that was
So was Wetherspoons the first?
So I think Wetherspoons were the first brand to at real scale to implement it. They were also Green King were pretty early on in that sort of journey, and it was but there weren't really many. There were a couple of smaller brands having a go, but I think that the impressive thing about the way Wetherspoons did it was they just said, they were like, okay, right, yeah, this works. And they sort of set up the rules around how it would work across the business, and including changing people's sort of shift patterns, making sure putting extra people on the dispense bar sort of side of things, guaranteeing that setting that target of that 2 minute. I think it was 2 minutes for 2 minutes for drinks and maybe 5 minutes for food. Anyway, but they I think that realizing that taking the people on that journey as well as just implementing the tech.
Yeah, because you could seriously, like, it could have been a huge flop if they would have not implemented that change management piece, or just even properly implemented the service area and nothing. Yeah, it would have just been like, although I mean, not much social media hugely then, right? But it still would have been like someone online moaning about X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you know, rather than I was just in awe. I would have to say I was in awe of it. I didn't even know it existed. So okay, so Zonal then moved you to a different role.
Yes, yeah. And that was, again, that was very, so that was when, I suppose when the technology was a bit more evolved in terms of, I guess that picture where you've got EPOS, which is physically in the middle of a site, and it's the data hub.
Yeah.
That sort of sits behind the business, if you like. And so it's a marketing and operational hub, so that you can, whether it's loyalty redemptions or orders going through from an app or sort of sending transactional data into a CRM system. I think, so my job really was launching all of the other online bits of software that's
nice. So
you
basically bring it together. So the little pubs or some of the pubs, or obviously Zonal mainly like started. That's the journey. But it's weird because you brought the pubs into the next generation. Realistically, otherwise they would have just stayed with the magnetic thing.
Yeah. I think it was. I suppose Zonal's customer base is so big that as a place to try and do new things. I suppose I'm always quite attracted to, like, just if you can, like, it's very exciting to get something new off the ground.
Yes.
And that was it was a great opportunity to do that because you're so plumbed into people's businesses.
Yeah.
So to be able to say, okay, you already have this piece of infrastructure, but if you add in these bits, then that's going to, really deliver a return on investment pretty quickly. And that's, so that was, I think, was a really exciting sort of time.
You were playing with new tech and letting people know about it.
Yeah, I did exactly, and getting some brave businesses to kind of give it a go and see the results sort of happening. So that was my first experience of actually managing a tech team as well as
both sides, I guess,
marketing.
Right? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So I don't know. I thought that was a whole new experience.
Yeah. What was that like, going into the tech team and telling them, this is what we've experienced and having funny looked at?
Well, you'd probably have to ask, people like Matt Brooks and Dave Gallimore, who at the time, whether I did a good job of that. But I think they're just motivated. I feel like tech people are just motivated by really different things, and that's I suppose I came from a world of motivating salespeople who are, I suppose they're motivated by ideas and the USPs of the business, but also money, obviously. Whereas with managing tech people, I think this sense of wanting to really do things well was actually far more of a driver for them, and wanting to continually carry on learning. And that was quite new for me. So I was like, oh, okay. People don't, then it's not kind of a cookie cutter thing in terms of what motivates people. So
it's super interesting. I've spoken to loads of different like pos tech people as well in the past. It's really interesting to see which route they're taking, or someone's just very excited about doing some plugin or whatever. Like one of our devs plugged. I asked if one of our devs could plug in the ChatGPT the API for OpenAI just to query some data. I was like, here's a plugin, and then he did, and then I asked him to build an API for us so we could do something, and he messaged me about 3 weeks later. I've had the most fun ever. I've never built this before. He's obviously done other stuff. Yeah. He's like, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, and it was really nice. I was like, oh, thanks. I'll find you some more fun stuff to do. Brilliant. So, which is nice. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so you built managing tech, managing sales, adding all the plugins in. What was next?
So then I went to a completely different business, which was Majestic. So I spent 2 years running the sort of B2B part of Majestic, which actually lots of people don't really know exists, but they have I
didn't realize how huge it was. Yeah. It's humongous.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So so the deliveries all go out from the stores. So it has a really nice like local aspect to, and sells mainly to pubs and restaurants around around the stores that want the benefit of kind of quick deliveries, smaller deliveries. They have a completely separate range of wines that to supply those hospitality businesses. So
the funny thing, I think he was saying when he was hosting, he was saying it's so interesting the amount of data they get because they know what the restaurants are buying, right? So they know he was saying that that I don't remember the guy's name, but he was saying that when they do their reports, that one, it's obviously helpful for them to stock that for the local, so they know what all the local restaurants want. So that stock's there. But when someone comes in and asks for a wine specifically, they know that all the local restaurants are using this sort of wine. So the data that they're getting from the locals is crazy. I never even thought about it.
Yeah, and it's and there's all kinds of fascinating things around sort of, I don't know, how you put wine on a menu and what kind of, what sells most and the sort of trends and how you can describe things to, how you can put the menu together in the way that works best. I mean, I only spent 2 years doing that.
So how was that? What was that like? I'm leaving Zonal to go this, or was that just
it was absolutely fascinating, and I loved wine, so that was great. I got to taste lots of wines and do my WSET qualifications up to level 2. So that was brilliant, but eventually I really missed the tech, because I think it's a very different kind of sale. And for me, I think there's something about, I suppose, the speed and the impact of a new piece of technology. And hospitality has always been the where I've been selling those products, but I think that's really intellectually exciting, I think, and wine is wonderful. But at the end of the day, I'm not, I think for me, there's so much you can get your teeth into about
it's exciting as well, right?
So and doing that translation exercise, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a technical person as such, but I think I'm more of a translator, really, of working with technical people and trying to explain why that's exciting to people who are more interested in great service.
Converting that into 3-year-old speak, basically. That's what we say all the time. Like when you're talking to a customer and you're trying to explain something, I tell the guy, like, imagine a 3-year-old, explain it like a 3 or a 5-year-old, just explain it, and then when you explain it like a tech's difficult. If you explain it the right way, everyone totally understands.
Someone once said to me, when you're selling tech, you should explain it like you're telling your granny, and I think that's brilliant advice, because immediately things like, don't use lots of acronyms that people might not understand. Like, why would you? Like, you don't have to, so don't.
100%. I like that. Or have the glossary. Give them the glossary. Okay, so Majestic, and then back to Zonal?
Yeah, so then I went back to Zonal. There was a role came up for Chief Sales and Marketing Officer, which... so Clive Constantine had left, and who was absolutely fabulous. I worked alongside him previously at Zonal, and it was just hard to resist that role, really. It was like, okay, that's a next, and I suppose just to
it's rare that those roles come as well, like CMO and sales and marketing. Like we speak to people and they're like, they get to the younger generation come in and they never really get to CMO level because that person's got to leave because they're so happy where they are. It's like that role is an awesome role, and I understand what you're saying. Like if you see that sort of role, especially being in the brand before.
So that was exciting, and in a way a chance to focus, sort of having done more general management roles. It was sort of purely focused on sales and marketing, and I think that selling. I think it's a fascinating challenge because it is such a broad toolkit that actually I think the key challenge there is trying to simplify 20 different products into something that makes sense to hospitality operators. And because actually I think the benefits of integrations are so huge, but to describe them in a way that sounds interesting, it's really hard. It's like, this bit connects to this bit, so that's why you want it. That's super boring, but so how do you bring that to life, and how do you make it?
So did you work with the sales team to just basically get that really nice bulletproof? This is the plugin, this is what works, this is the ecosystem.
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time trying to help the team, sort of, I suppose, trying to give them a formula that and the right materials to make that simple, because if you imagine you've got typically a 1-hour initial meeting with a company that shows some interest in Zonal in that case, and you could tell them about 20 different products,
Yeah.
but that's not going to be good.
No, I get it.
So how do you visualize that in a way that makes sense?
Yeah.
And I think that it takes quite a lot of creativity, I think, to just tell that story in a way that's
and make tech look good.
that's not completely boring.
Yeah, because I guess you'll lose. They're operators. You'll lose them, right? You'll lose. They just want to get going. They want to get moving. They want to switch on and get going and go.
Yes,
exactly. And the history and the story, and then all the plugins can get a bit challenging.
Yeah, definitely. So it's wanting to not to undersell the detail, but having a sort of I suppose a journey through that detail. That's kind of
the pedigree sort of helps, right? I mean, to be honest with you,
it absolutely
it's got a nice pedigree for it. So someone's asking about it, and they're not going to be like, "Oh, you're a iZettle thingy." And, you're an ecosystem. Okay, so and then how long was that? How long were you there for?
So I did that role for 3 years, and then.
Your CV's looking pretty good. This is lovely. Good stint in CVs. This is awesome. Yeah.
But I did have a bit of a hankering to do. I think Zonal is a really fascinating business, but it's hard to. I guess if you want to really steer the direction of a single product and really have an impact on that, it's just a much bigger beast. And I had a bit of a hankering, I suppose, to own every aspect of what makes a business tick. And so when it was Feedback at the time, when Carlo approached me because Dan, the wonderful Dan Hawkey, was leaving, and I just thought it was customer experience is so fascinating to begin with. It's like, okay, that's already brilliant, but the team was sort of around 30 people. Well, I think probably maybe 25 at the time, maybe now we've grown it to sort of 32-ish, but it's the sort of, I suppose I've always, although I come from a sales and marketing kind of background, for me, everything, like in a way, everything just hangs together as part of the same, being able to have a big impact on the direction of the product and how we support the product and how we, it's all sales in a way, or
everything.
It's all client success in a way. It's all one.
I think the other thing as well is that we're missing the piece of the growth of what you've done, of what you've learned from all the companies, the leadership that you've done, and then taking that into where you are. Because it's there's one thing of starting in a new business. So what happened? So happened there. So what? That was a phone call, and then they were just like fishing out, and then is she going to bite?
Well, so I've known Carlo for a really long time because when I was at Zonal and what was Feedback at the time they had a partnership that goes back about 8 years, I think.
Oh wow!
So
okay.
I'd been part of the initial of setting that up in the first place because I just thought. I thought that integration had huge potential, that if you could take the transactions and then also if someone's had the burger, just, you can cut straight to like, how was that product and get rid of all the friction points along the way. So I knew the business. So I was immediately kind of interested. And I think getting started in the role and understanding where it was, I think the challenge there's a few different players in the market now doing customer experience for hospitality. And I think the challenge probably for all of us is like, what does the next generation of customer experience tools look like? Like, how do we really, how do we get the best and biggest volume of data about hospitality businesses, and then how do we make that really simple for them to act on at every level? And I think that I suppose after a few months in the business, it occurred to me that was the real challenge, was like, where do we go next? And that.
So do you have free? Was it like free reign? It was like on the not free reign, or was it more over? I'm interested in what could be done. You guys have so much data points. It is crazy.
Yeah.
So was that like an explosion in your mind of like of what could be done?
I suppose it was sort of. I guess I can't take credit for. Having all the ideas. In fact, I think I'm much more about implementation and ideas in lots of ways, but I do feel very strongly that your customers will tell you what they need, and if you're listening, then that will that they'll give you all the information you need for your strategic roadmap.
So was that a big part of what you did?
The
team?
So we initially did some sort of just research of different stakeholders in our clients' businesses or prospect businesses, and what they wanted, what they were looking for, why they would choose 1 to 5 or not, feed it back at the time, or not choose it. But we've since then implemented so towards the end of last year, we implemented a sort of client advisory board.
Oh, nice.
Which
lovely.
For me has been indispensable, really, because I think, where you've got people like
there's a voice. All of a sudden, there's a voice.
It's and we tend to approach it that we will take several ideas to the advisory board and kind of say, look, this is what AI is a great example. It's like, okay, everyone's talking about AI. We know it's really important, but what does it mean to you now? And what would you really like to see us build that's important? And I suppose it's becoming real now, isn't it? That having an actual impact in
massive
customers in our operators' businesses. So yes, but really, so understanding what they wanted and was really important, and then getting I've been lucky, I think, to get the buy-in from our owners that they were prepared to invest in the business, because it was sort of like, I suppose, like any SaaS business, you've got to be continually
iterating.
New innovation has to be coming through all the time. You can't afford to stand still. And if I'm being completely honest, I think we had a couple of years where we didn't move fast enough. And that's what in the last sort of, I'd say the last year, over the course of the last year, we've really started investing in just like initially growing the product team. So to really get the new innovation happening, define that sort of, what is that game-changing future functionality that takes us into new territory, and now scaling the sales and marketing team. So
the biggest secret that was never a secret in having Lucy,
getting Lucy on board, which was, I think by the time we actually finally came out with that news, everyone was like, we've known that for
that was it was a great. Well, if it wasn't a marketing piece to do in the beginning, it was great. Well done, even if it wasn't. So
no, it was. I think I was lucky because Lucy and I had worked together, albeit at a bit of a distance at Zonal, but I think it's definitely one of those examples I think in terms of, I think one of the questions that we talked about before was like leadership style and that sort of thing, but it's a great example of employing somebody who is, you've got to employ people who are better than you at, at various bits of running a company, and having that really strong sales voice and the challenge and it's just that's been an amazing step forward. So I think now we've got a product that we really want to shout about. Having people like Lucy on the team, we've just employed.
I have to say though, I've had Lucy on ages ago, which is awesome, and it was really interesting because the learning from anyone at Airship and the way that Dan is at top level down. It was some of the stuff Lucy was saying was what they do together, how they talk, how they bring it together, how the team works together. It was just like it's unheard. Like even when I spoke to Sam as well, like I just don't know any other business that does it. So she's actually had this beautiful journey in how to build team, how to work with a team, how to listen to team, and now bringing it into what you have as well. So I think that's another really nice piece of learning that she's had to come into the company.
Definitely, and actually, I think you find. I mean, I don't know if when you interview salespeople, like I think there aren't that many companies that do sales in a really good kind of data-driven, smart way, but also with a huge amount of personality. I mean, I think Lucy kind of does both of those things in spades, and that's but there's, I mean,
you could
sadly,
drop Lucy in anywhere. She's like literally like you could just throw her into a crowd of people and say just go and talk to them over there, because I wouldn't be doing it. I'd be like I'd be standing with you in the corner, chatting together, and Lucy would just go straight over to that group of 10 people, close them off, and then go, yep, they're all signed up tomorrow, so we're good. We booked 3 meetings in, and we'd be looking at each other going, how did she do that? So
definitely completely fearless, which is a great characteristic. But yeah, no, I think, I don't know, a lot of salespeople are just not that good.
No, it's hard. It's hard. It is that special sauce.
Yes,
really. It is a special sauce. It's hard. So now let's talk about the brand and the rebrand, right?
Yes.
So Feedback was Feedback for a very long time.
Yes.
And where did the name come from? Obviously, I'm aware that James Mobbs is an awesome person to assist with that.
Yeah.
What was that like taking? Because I mean, it's another pedigree brand that's been around for a very long time. Changing a name. I mean, actually, I had someone on a couple of weeks ago who was like, Feedback. I mean, 125. You know, so
and it is, and I think it was and is a really good name. So it was quite a tough decision in a lot of ways, but I think we wanted to send a very clear signal to the industry that we wanted to do something different. That it wasn't just about feedback. Although, I mean, I think feedback is incredibly important. So in a way, saying just feedback is wrong. But I think turning that into really meaningful insight that can help you not only run a better business but make more money, essentially, which is obviously super important, especially right now. So I think that it has enabled us to have a different conversation with prospective customers and customers. So I think it's been a new visual sort of identity, which I think
it's like chalk and cheese.
Yeah,
it's so different.
We've tried to be very, and this is where James, I think, has done a fabulous job, is that to really, I suppose, to think a lot about the impact of this technology, and to build, in a way, if you look at our website now, there's great case studies, there's a lot more kind of evidence of the impact of using the system. It's just less just purely about the narrative, more kind of concrete stuff.
Yeah, but you've got the words insights and data in there, which is probably like the key indicators, because insights is interesting. Feed it back is feedback. You're feeding it back. You're feeding it back to the customer. You're feeding back information from the customer to you. Data and insights is giving you much deeper information, which is basically what you are doing.
Definitely.
And making that, we've had other platforms on before. And I think one of the most important pieces that you see is stuff like, if you get a consistent negative feedback and you don't do anything about it, those automations and those things that don't alert the relevant people can affect big brands.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't take action, or if there's a group where there's a prep kitchen that sends it out and there's 15 sites all having the same thing, if that monitoring's not in place, it's brand killing. Definitely.
And there are some brands where you just think, like, sometimes I'm sure we've all had this experience lately as consumers, that you have such a disjointed experience in a venue that you're like, how can they not know?
100%.
that this is happening? And I suppose that's where
is that when you end up giving the card to the hold on, let me get my card out. Just check the website out. Yeah.
And the same goes for online. There's a whole conversation whether you like it or not, and whether you're in the conversation or not. There's a whole conversation going on about your brand online. So you're either in it or you're
it's so hard. Once it's on social.
Yes.
It's just like wildfire.
Yeah, definitely. It's so I think managing, I kind of think about it like the two, in a way, it's quite simple what we help brands with. It's like, it's the online, it's the like outward online reputation bit, making it simple and easy to like understand what's going on with that and manage it. But then from the direct feedback from customers, it's the really detailed insight that makes it possible for you to very quickly make decisions about something that might be, if something's working or not working, and to understand whether that's at one site or at all your sites or a particular region or always at breakfast or
that specific time. I mean, literally remembering going to to a QSR that use you, I won't mention the name, just you having breakfast, ordering on the kiosk, logging into loyalty anyway, because I have the loyalty, then getting that message back afterwards, asking those questions, and having that customer flow being quite nice and not intrusive and not a billion questions of it, keeping that journey easy, and it's a nice flow.
Definitely, right? I think that whole question of like, we're very much into tailoring that flow, that like if you're a QSR, you can't ask a million questions. You have to do it has to be like a 30-second survey maximum.
But you already know the date, time and so on, so that's a winning piece already. You fed all that piece in, so then when you look at other platforms where you just have to scan the QR code on the burrito, whatever it might be, and then you have to put all you're already 9 steps behind.
Yes, or if the survey itself, sometimes some surveys that you fill in, just like you open it and your heart sinks because it's like, oh my God, literally, this is just going on forever. And so I think it's super important that you tailor, like for example, I think the survey itself has to be tailored to the channel that you're using to ask. Yeah. So, for example, bills now have a QR code, a bit like what you were talking about earlier. Scan the QR code to pay at the table after you order from a waiter. But then I think, and then you go into a few feedback questions. And I think in that scenario, like you've just paid, but can you answer a couple of questions? Yeah. For volume, that's absolutely brilliant because if someone hasn't made a booking or they're part of a bigger party or whatever, you can connect with far more people. But you need to have a short and sweet survey. Yeah, keeping it simple. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that part of the next phase of how to understand customer experience is about the right tailored experience for the right situation. Yeah. It can't be those giant forms or the questions. Just that we were talking to a customer the other day actually, and asking them about for the Wi-Fi journey, right? If you did a thumbs up, thumbs down, on the journey, and the challenge is sentiment hasn't really set in unless you've been there for a bit and then you connect. So they're the things we were like, oh, hold on, that could be interesting to do. To do a thumbs up, thumbs down. So it could be anything like, what's the music like? Or how's your experience? So there's loads of little things that could be done. What you're saying with bills, for example. If it's just a couple of questions after it doesn't affect you. Yes. But if it's a giant survey, it's like you're that sigh. Yes. I think it also helps you with something like that where it's very light touch. It helps you to probably capture the middle ground of people who they're neither delighted or massively disappointed, in which case they will go through the really boring long survey. But maybe it's just like, well, it's a couple of questions. It's going to take me 10 seconds. Fair enough. I'll tell you what I thought. And so that's where I think that that can be a really, really great for volume. But then maybe twice a year you want to do like a deeper dive brand survey that really, and maybe you incentivize that and ask your customers what they want from you in the future. Yeah. So I think that's going back to what Vic was talking about, that customer, that customer piece, right? Understanding your customer. Yeah. So I think that's really important. I would like if a brand that I've been to multiple times sent me a message, we'd love to hear from you. Yes, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Like we just and I might lie a bit here and there. Who cares? Like, have you been recently? Whatever. Yeah. But I think that is really important. I don't think anyone's really doing it. I don't think so either. And in a way, so that's our direction. So early next year we'll launch a whole suite of functionality that makes it possible to. I guess the aim is, if you're a hospitality brand and you've got questions in your mind about your customers and you don't know the answers. Yeah. And every hospitality brand I've met lately has things like that. It's like, so many. Are we really right to do bottomless brunch? Yeah. Are we, how do our younger customers feel about alcohol? Are they wanting different things? There's, whether it's service, whether it's brand, whether it's food. We want to be able to answer any of those big questions that companies are grappling with, so we can do the immediate transactional stuff and the much kind of deeper dive stuff. And I think the nice thing for you is as well is because you're plugged into the whichever CRM it might be or whatever it might be, the data points of the age range of when they're booked, the last visit, really can tailor what's being sent to them, rather than at the moment that form you've visited. Let's hook that out. Yeah, you can then granularly go down to, okay, they're 40 plus, they've been to us 5 times. Yeah. These are the questions we want to know for that cohort of people. Yeah. So we're working. That's exciting. I think it's really exciting. We're working, for example, with Carey at Guestwise at the moment to do exactly that sort of like, I mean, what if you could understand from all of your lapsed customers, like, why did you used to come 3 times a year and we haven't seen you for the last year? Like, what if you, for most, I don't think most brands know the answer to that. No. It's like, what did we used to do that you liked? And like, why did you stop? Was there another brand that you preferred, or did we put our prices up too high? Or, so I think by looking at the segments in your CRM and having being able to use surveys in a completely fluid kind of, maybe I just want to ask questions for a week.
You're making them dynamic, aren't you? So you're like it's changing the aspect of the general survey that everyone else does that's coming out of those to the point of actually getting that information, using the insights and the data, which is nice. So and then enriching the information in there. So then you're right that you don't know if someone came 3 times and then never came again. You're not going to go call them up and ask them. If they came back 6 months later, what was it? Definitely, so the really clever stuff. I mean, some of the stuff that's really interesting actually to be able to set those it's like automation. It's a bit like going into a CRM and setting those automations.
Exactly.
Trying to find out what happens to those lapsed customers. Why did they churn? And getting that information from them.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's. There's I think you could there's massive potential to kind of uncover lots of hidden stuff that way. So
and A/B test, right? So you could do it like not to everyone. So if the brand says oh yeah, everyone says the same thing. Well, no, but you test that little cohort. Actually, there's a whole different set of people with different questions.
I think you can take it, and if you think of another concrete example of how that really ties into return on investment for a brand, like let's say I'm a brand and I want to launch my new menu over 50 sites, and you could, if you were to do a sort of a soft launch in, I don't know, 2 sites. For 6 weeks and just and have a really proactive data capture. So maybe you're asking every single one of your customers during that time to just you incentivize.
Yeah, of course.
Come back next time you come back, have a free glass of wine on us in exchange for kind of telling us exactly what you thought about the menu. And so being able to automate, sort of set up that, almost seeing it like a campaign. So you can see exactly what's going to land and what's not going to work. And rather than having a costly new menu item that just doesn't work, really understand in very granular detail, fully optimize your menu. And
so you're reminding me of what like sort of Bills do with their like new menu or new this, testing it out on those little, and then testing out in those sort of sites, and then seeing if that works, and then testing it out there and getting that feedback, but then taking that to the next level, rather than giving someone the piece of paper that they can fill out and tick box.
Exactly.
Trying to automate it a little bit and then incentivize.
Yes, I think so. I think just having all that flexibility to either, maybe if you answer a question on a certain way in the standard survey, you then ask that person whether they're prepared to spend another 5 minutes and tell you more, and in return for an incentive. Or so it's just all. You
don't have to fill out the giant one. Like it's understanding the process, the brain flow process, the customer flow, and if it seems like that when they're filling out that form, that you guys with the flow in place, they're giving you the information in the right amount of time, or they might, and then you can extend that automatically.
Yes.
So then the normal person who's there, who's the grandma or whatever, who just wants to go and whatever, can do yes, no.
Yeah.
And then other people who you see, I guess you'll know with what they're answering, with the amount and the information they're giving you. So they are writing in those boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could immediately say, well, we want to know what all our biggest fans think about this stuff, or what our real detractors think about certain key decisions we need to make. So I think that sense of it being much more dynamic. I think for a lot of businesses, they just ask the same thing, like month after month, year after year. They're just asking the same thing, and you end up. I think Anne Elliott described it to me as data wallpaper, and I think that's such a good description, isn't it? It's just like and it does. If nothing changes much month after month, then of course you stop paying attention to it. So I think it's this sense of it being a dynamic process of, for my brand, these are the key issues right now. So I'm going to approach customer experience in this way this month, and might be different next month. And I think it's that sense of it being an ongoing live project.
I think for the way we see it as well is if you're able to enrich the customer's profile as well. So if you sort of know who they are, then you do that A/B testing, or then do little bits and bit more. Or I think that could be so powerful because there isn't enough information about the customer. You just don't know.
Definitely.
They don't know. Like you could go to a kiosk, sign into loyalty, maybe you do that and you'll get feedback, and then nothing happens and nothing changes. And to try and the data that you're pulling in rather than just feedback can really enrich you could even like vegan stuff or whatever it might be. If you've got data points in that CRM that comes in, it'll be awesome to be able to flow that different, like it's like a spider graph of feedback for you, right? So you've got your 1, 2, 5 here, and if customer is X, if they visited X, then so there's that basically
have a very rich picture then of what they, and I think that's one of the things I think is really nice in terms of loyalty is that, like, I think there are some really real fans of a particular brand that they would love to be asked to be. It's almost like we want you to be our like digital focus group because
super fans.
You know more about this, about what direction we should be going in than anyone else. So tell us what you think. And I think that would be actually a lot of it. I think in a way, comparing it to sort of the traditional idea of mystery diner, for example, I think what we're more interested in is brands being able to turn their own customer database into their focus group to ask whatever questions they want.
Yeah.
So I think that would be, then it's going to be relevant. You're going to get enough volume of feedback to be able to trust it. And so I think that's...
It's also taking that like 5% of your loyal fans, but leaving them as is, using them as a group, but then maybe taking that... Vic said earlier was so clever. You've got like for like a Meta, right? So you take your like for like, you spend your money on Meta. If you've got a like for like, if you've got an audience here that the 5% is your top lovely people. If you can find out who the other 5% is, or take another 5% that are similar, and send them your information, that feedback, and ask them questions to find out why they aren't your top 5%.
Try and move them up the
trying to bring them back, because it's all about bringing people back, right? That's the goal. I think the really interesting piece is if you can enrich that customer's data to give them more information, so they can target them in a different way, because feedback can really do that. And I think in the past it really hasn't. It's just been more of like NPS. It's just NPS and we've got a problem, we need to fix it. But I think the route it sounds like you're taking is actually let's give our customers more, let our customers know more, let our clients know more about other customers.
I think it's sort of I think in a way it's understanding different roles in hospitality businesses and what they need from customer experience tools, because actually, like, marketing people need a certain set of things, and ops people need another set of things, and then there's probably stuff that finance people need, and the people just ultimately running the business need. But I think that sometimes it's coming back to that question of silos that we talked about at the beginning. Sometimes it's just an ops tool, or in some cases just a marketing tool. But I think that having
could be everything.
Yeah, it's almost like you've got to sort of dissect the data and parcel up the bits that matter to that role. So I think that's part of the sophistication in the future, is that it's like being simple, being clever enough to be simple.
Do you think you might end up having, like, Tatendo is a great platform, right? It's bringing all the data in, feeding the information in. Do you think that you would end up having like custom dashboards so that when the ops person logs in, they've got the information for ops, and when marketing logs in, they've got their marketing?
Yeah. So I think we're definitely moving in that direction and trying to. And we're already sort of. We've just launched sort of new daily and weekly emails, which are whatever level you're at. So depending on how many sites you are responsible for, you will see a completely different sort of set of data, and it all kind of rolls up and makes sense. I think the next level of sophistication is definitely going to be sort of if I'm a marketing person, what are especially when it comes to actions, I suppose it's like, okay, in the sea of all of this data, what can I do in my role that's going to make a difference and it ultimately drive more revenue and profit
your
for the
system
business.
can just shout out to them the key indicators of what needs to be done, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think right now I think we're good at showing where the impact lies overall. I think where the added sophistication will come in is actually being clever enough to say, okay, you do this role, so you're going to care about these things. I mean, we have different. So we use Power BI in the platform and so we have different dashboards. We do have different suites of reports that matter to different people. Some mainly sort of like food people, marketing people, ops people. But I think it's almost like serving up that data like giving front of house people the data they need on a device that they have with them front of house. It's just
dashboard. That's all they sort
simple
of need,
things
right?
in a way, isn't it? So
it's serving up the right information to the right people.
yes, and just keeping it simple. It's like I don't, if I'm a GM, I don't have time to log into the 20 dashboards that I'm supposed to log into. So just tell me the 3 things going on right now that I need to pay attention to, and that will help me make a difference.
Yeah,
So,
no, I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's have a look. I mean, we've talked about some of the things. What's next? Can you share anything else that's coming?
Yeah, so I guess I'm sure like everybody you talk to will talk about what's happening next with AI. We're trying to, so we've got AI assisted responses sort of coming on. We already do AI, so we use AI to summarize what guests say in a survey, and then that can be shared to online channels. So you're not.
I've used it and it was awesome.
Good,
so
good.
I was actually surprised because I was in Tenerife with the Venture Group. The Venture Group is like their groups are awesome and they are amazing.
I really want to go. It sounds brilliant.
Oh my god! Seriously, some of their stuff is amazing. But I was like, ooh, it was actually like quite nice. Like it wasn't like a horror. It wasn't like a generic prompt of taking what I've said and regurgitating. It was actually quite a nice. It was quite a nice little summarization of what I'd written.
And it's and because it's taking factual feedback, but just putting it into a really nice paragraph, and then at the touch of a button, sharing it to. So it has it was the result of our client advisory board. That's one of our first sessions where they said we don't want to have to choose between Google reviews and getting the detail that we want in a survey. So that bit of innovation like allowed us to say, well, it doesn't matter because you can have both.
Yeah.
But
instead of pressing the button and making them do it all over again, because that's the worst part, right?
Exactly.
You fill it all out, and then you get to and then it sends you to Google, or you can click a button to copy to Google.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I don't want to do that.
And then you've lost the will to live by that point. And it's I think it and also. But in a way, at site level, they can be. Sometimes they want to drive people directly to Google because they know that for new business that's really important, and maybe their bonus is dependent on that or whatever. But it can skew. Trouble is, it can really skew the feedback data that you're collecting because it's no longer a true reflection of what's going on, of like more natural kind of feedback, I suppose. Whereas this way round, I think you get you'll get a balanced sort of set of feedback, but you can also make sure you've got the volume you need for Google and manage your online reputation effectively. So I think things like that are really great. I think, but we tend to be a bit where it comes with things like AI. Say for example with responses to so a customer complains or they do a poor review on Google, that comes into your platform as a case for you to deal with. We feel very strongly that the learning that comes from that needs to be understood ideally by the people at site level in the business. So it's not just ticking a box and saying, oh, thank you very much, we've got your complaint, we'll respond to you. They should be understanding that and responding
and seeing the short where it fell short and then actioning those challenges from it.
Exactly. So at the moment we sort of have the ability to sort of put together snippets of text that make it easy to respond in a very consistent brand, the right brand language and all that. But what our customers said is like, well, that's all very well, but we don't necessarily have time. Some people find it very difficult to construct a response.
Yep.
English might not be their first language. they are very short of time, so they do want the ability to suggest. If AI can sort of suggest a response, which they can then
Modify.
tailor, or
Nice.
maybe they type a response and then it gets sort of tidied up by
Yeah.
AI. So I think it's that sort of
Middle.
We always want
it's
to
sort
do
of you're just in the middle. It's the middle piece, isn't it?
yeah, and I think that the tech has to be applied in a thought through way. You know, we always try to launch stuff that will deliver real value rather than just being a kind of, oh great, it's AI for the sake of AI. So hopefully that's the balance that we'll strike.
Nice.
But that's
I quite like that
soon.
though, because so we use, some of the team here use Grammarly, right? So when we're responding to support tickets, it will go through, it will fix the messaging, like it will deal with that grammar piece, whatever, and so on, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And now they've got the option to reword if they want to, which is quite nice. That option to either suggest a response, and then you can edit.
Yeah.
Or even take what you've done and then readjust it into brand. That would be great, because then it's using AI in that way of, this is the brand's voice.
Yes, exactly.
Which is quite nice.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, I mean, anything where AI can do some of the heavy lifting for you, then that's brilliant. But I think we'd be a bit.
You're not ready on the automatic replies, because I think unless the brand's got proper buy-in to it.
Yes, that just seems like a slightly dangerous path to go down. But I mean, never say never. I think if at the end of the day, if that's what our clients want, then of course we would consider it. But it feels, it does feel like the ability to actually learn from what's going on in your business and handle complaints in a great way and win people back.
Do you think that using the sentiment analysis piece of AI can then, because the generic response is if someone, I left my coat, or I had a bad, or the beer was cold, like generic things versus the important ones.
Yes.
So I think the future, could potentially be the generic ones that are deemed a generic response, that get routed to the different places, and then using that sentiment analysis of, hold on, that's learning.
Yes.
That's something we need to, someone needs to respond to that one.
And that's already, that's already one really nice, I think another great sort of use of AI in the platform today is being able to spot not only topics and whether they're positive or negative, so you can include them in your reporting, but also, if there is a mention of something very urgent, like food poisoning or allegations of racism or something like that will be pulled out and routed to a very senior person. So there's a kind of a triaging sort of side of things, so I think there's a so
it doesn't sit there, because generic, if someone was to email into a feedback app, it would sit in the inbox, wouldn't be dealt with. So what you're saying is that it will look for those important pieces and then route it to the right.
Send them to someone else. And also just, I suppose just in terms of overall SLAs, the fact that you can see all the cases, you can see them at a glance and whether they've been responded to within your sort of set time for getting back to them. So that's, I think the visibility that gives you as a brand, it just drives a different kind of behaviour. Which I think you just inevitably, those things will get missed if they're not sort of surfaced.
And it's important. It's so important, feedback. It's just, I mean, I think it's mental. So I also think that some of the other, I'm glad that you've done the route to Google as an option. There are like reservation platforms that just keep everything internal. How does that help? Like, it's great to see a 5-star review, lovely. I'm really happy. Like, I was talking to clients and they're like, we've got all these 5-star reviews. I said, but they're all in your platform. Where they're not going anywhere.
And also, do they give you, I suppose where we would be coming from on that is, do they give you the sort of granularity that you need to actually... No, it's like 5 stars,
that's it. I'm getting like a 1 to 5. And then it's a bit of a comment. Or like the typical Brit, where it's one and no comment. Which happens loads. And that with yours, the one triggers other stuff.
Yes, I think that's what that trying to make it easy to, where if something is scored very low, then that triggers why was that? And just make it very quick to say, okay, it's one of these 5 topics that. So I think it's always balancing the guest experience with getting to the detailed data. But I think it's you might, if you've got a system that tells you that you've got an issue with food, okay, that's sort of useful, but exactly what is the issue? Is it that it didn't get to me quickly enough, or is the temperature not right, or do I not think it's good value for money, or is the portion size wrong, or there could be any number of reasons why I didn't think that food was good enough, but exactly why, so that to the point where I can then go away and fix that problem.
Actionable insights.
Yeah, exactly.
So insights. Okay, this is. I could carry on talking about this for ages. So I think I'm going to give you a round of applause. So we did well. Thank you. So I literally I can talk. I'd love to talk more about this. Is just so interesting because it's important, and people don't do it the right way.
Yeah.
And if they are doing it the right way and using the right tools, it's a massive impact to their business.
Yes. Yeah.
And So
it's a very interesting area. I think I'm very lucky in that way.
Well, yeah, because you've not only have you helped develop pieces of software in the past and help sell that software, you take and then build that team out that in Zono and others. You're able to take the leadership from what you've all learned and then bring it to this as well, which is nice. And it needed. When I saw you ages ago, I was like, yes. I was like, it needed that. It needed that rebrand. It needed the refresh. It needed the next journey. And I think you've taken that gauntlet and done an amazing job.
Well,
so I give you the props for that. So I give you
another
round of applause. There you go. For
thank you very much. I wouldn't say we're necessarily. Well, you're never 100% of the way there, are you? There's always
but
the
you
next
know what?
thing.
It's the journey, and you're on the journey, and that's what matters. Changing the games, what you're doing.
Yes.
And there is standard feedback out there that just does feedback, and it's not about that. It is about the insights. And it is about enriching the information and the data. So I think what you're doing is awesome. I'm really excited to see the changes, and it's like the next generation. You've taken the product it's a good product, always been a good product.
Yeah.
But just as you said when you were at Zonal, it's the iteration.
Yes.
And back at live rates, live bookings. Iteration of building and building.
Yeah,
and building has to be done.
If you can't stand still, can it?
No, especially in hospitality. Like we're way behind retail. Retail are like way ahead of us. The more you can help, the businesses get more information about their customers is I just think there's not enough. So we're going to pop to the last questions.
Okay.
So best restaurant.
This is so difficult. Can I have two?
Yes, of course.
So I really love Trullo in Islington.
Love Trullo.
Beautiful place, amazing design, fantastic service, delicious food, and it's that mixture of it's very professional, but it's not starchy. For me, that's just and it's kind of all. I think it's centered around the food, but the whole experience is lovely.
Yeah, their food as well. That downstairs is really cute as well.
Just the whole thing is I think they just do it all. They just do it so well, and So I've never been disappointed by a meal there.
Yeah.
And then I also love Bruto over in Farringdon. It's just it's just really cool, isn't it? Like the interior is. I just always feel like it's got such an interesting eclectic mixture of customers coming in, and the atmosphere is brilliant, and the food is, they have a dish that's like a slice of sourdough toast with cold butter and anchovies, and it's just so good.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
It sounds really simple, and it is really simple, but it's so good.
That's you've won me already. To be honest with you. Okay, best burger.
This is really difficult for me because because I don't eat meat.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So Vic's a vegetarian. So that was even. She was like, Adam, you choose for me.
I know exactly. I'm gonna have to. I'm so sorry.
You can defer. You can defer.
The same. Yeah.
It'll be
whatever
the first
next
time.
Person thinks.
It's okay. Best hotel.
Best hotel. I think my favourite, the hotel I stayed at most recently, which is also my favourite, is the Gunton Arms in Norfolk.
Okay.
Which, if people haven't been there, it's an amazing sort of gastro pub. It's owned by an art dealer and it's got all of the walls are covered in amazing kind of Brit art, sort of like incredible pieces of artwork, and the food is fantastic, and the rooms are really quirky but stylish and amazing. It's on a big sort of a deer park in the middle of rural Norfolk.
Yeah,
but it's just the coolest place ever. You absolutely just have to go.
Love that.
Awesome.
Okay, 2 questions for the next guest.
All right. Yes. So now, what did I think? I thought it would be interesting to ask what are the best and worst things about working with hospitality brands, because I think probably most of us love, hate, can't get away from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever. And then I thought, so I've been selling tech to hospitality for a long time, and it's all quite cyclical. You know, there's good times and bad times in terms of, you know, what's happening in the economy, etc. Hospitality sort of suffers quite quickly, but it also bounces back quite quickly. But what does your next guest think about what are the benefits of going through a tougher time like we are right now?
Yeah.
Because I perversely quite enjoy a tough time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to answer my own question.
Yeah, well, but there's change needs to be made, right? I said we've had it a few times where I had someone on about a month and a bit ago, and he was like, I don't want COVID back. I don't like the death. I don't want the death. I don't want the virus. I just loved it that everyone had to change and excel and iterate quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone was on it. Everyone was on the journey to do go. You know, and he goes, I wish people came back to that thing of we need to change now because it's tough out there, right?
Yeah.
The industry's hard, and if you're not iterating on what you're doing, you'll end up. You know, we've had there's more closing, right? It's difficult. It's really hard out there. So I think and
of course that is, you know, that is hard for the businesses that close, and not that I'm not sympathetic to that, but I do think it can drive creativity in a really interesting way. So I think when you see the new ideas coming through and the push for change, that's quite exhilarating.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm leaving another one of these. Okay, give everyone a wave goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.